If I know anything about wildlife photographers, you need the kit. So this goes around my waist. In here I have a selection of prime lenses. That's a macro lens for taking.
Now that's not a macro lens. If you pause it right here, this, Richard Hammond, is not your macro lens. Welcome to Tech Notice. Today I'd like to figure out which kind of camera gear were Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond and James May using when they were filming their Columbia special. So if you haven't seen that video, you can go on Amazon Prime. Over there you can watch it. If you have Prime, it's included for free to watch the whole series and all the 3 seasons. But this is the 3rd season, episode 2 and 3. And let's dive into it and figure out what camera gear were they using. Did they know what camera gear they were using? Because Richard Hammond, you'll see, will call something out which it actually isn't. And then how much did it cost? Okay, first of all, let's look at this clip over here. There's all sat around the table and I've screen recorded this bit of that episode. Listen to this.
Selection of prime lenses. That's a macro lens for taking.
Now that's not a macro lens. If we pull out the Canon's macro lenses, which are over here, okay? So if we have, this is the 100mm macro over here. Okay, if you look at this one, and if we take this, where is it? Okay, here it is. Let me just make it a little bit smaller over here. Then this lens over here and that lens that you have over there, they are not the same lenses. Now if we go over here, we zoom in a little bit, okay? Then this lens over here. So what lens is this? Actually, this lens is that over here, which is the EF 200mm f2.8L lens, Mark II lens. So that's the lens that Richard Hammond is showing over there, but he's actually thinking that it is a macro lens, but it isn't. I'm gonna go through some of the screenshots, like how it happened in a time scale. So they're not actually in a row of who's using what, but we just go in a row over there. Okay, the next clip, what I have over here is this. Richard Hammond is holding on to this lens, and if you've seen this episode, he's just saying that this is a 50mm prime lens. Which 50mm prime lens is it? I was looking at that for quite a while, and there are 3 50mm lenses. We know that it's not the first one because it just doesn't look like that, and it's not the second one. It is actually the 3rd one, the 50mm 1.2L, because as you can see, it's slowly like curving up. Even though the obvious red L ring is covered by the lens hood, you can see that it's covered up like that, like kind of curving up or going wider, and you know that this is the 50mm f2.L lens. So we know that Hammond's got at least 2 lenses for now. Let's keep going. So the next shot, what we can see is Hammond showing his camera body. So this camera body over here is the Canon 1DX Mark II, and there's a lens attached to it over here as well. But if you look on the next shot, then we can see much better that this lens over here is the Canon 70-200 Mark III, the IS lens, which is this lens over here. Believe me, I've compared all these lenses to each other and figured out which one it is. This is the lens that he has, which is quite an expensive lens, but not the most expensive. Okay, let's keep going, okay? Here we have Jeremy now. Jeremy's showing off his gear. Hammond's over here. You can see some of Hammond's equipment as well. He's got some pouches that go around his. He's got another camera bag over here. There's loads of accessories over there. This is Jeremy's monopod over there. Then we have Hammond's camera bag over here. You can see there's a little monopod over there. And then this is the camera bag over there. Now Jeremy is showing off his camera over here. You can see that this is quite the big long lens and probably very expensive. So guess which lens this is. Now there's a camera body over here as well, which we see in another shot exactly what camera this is. But this over here is the Canon 600mm f4 IS Mark II. And that is quite an expensive lens if you ask me that. Now let's keep going over here. What do we see over here? We can see some more Hammond's gear over here. Hammond is using the 70-200 over here with his 1DX. He's got another pouch over here. We can see there's a little Gorilla Bod over here, which he never uses on any of the shots that we can see. But for sure, you can see that this is the 70-200 Mark III. Okay, let's have a look at another shot. Now, this one over here is another shot where we can see that actually this lens over here is not the 200mm macro lens. Now, if we zoom in a little bit more, I know it gets a lot fuzzier, then you can see that this is 100mm lens over here, and this is the macro lens. Now that is the 100mm f2.8 macro lens. So now we know that Hammond has at least 3 lenses: the 70-200, 100mm macro, and the 50mm 2.8. He's also using this flash gun over here, which I'm not sure exactly which flash it is. Some photographers can comment in the section below who are more familiar with flashes, whereas I'm not so familiar with flashes. So at least 3 lenses and 1 body. Let's go over here. We can see a bit better which lens this is. This is the Jeremy's 600mm and his camera body. Don't worry, we'll figure out which camera body it is in a moment. I've got a better picture that shows that. But this is the 600mm lens. Now this here is James May. Now the others are showing off very well, you know, what camera gear they're using. This is James May's big, you know, camera gear. You can see that in this yellow over here, that they've probably rented all that gear from somewhere. Obviously they have. So this is like the rental marking of the camera. You can see that it's Canon G9X. I don't know why there's S, but that too is Mark II. So this is the Canon G9X Mark II, which costs only £366 or $429 in the US, and that is James May's camera gear. That's all that he has. Now this is a picture where we can see easily what camera Jeremy is using. They are all using Canon gear, so I'm not sure if they were sponsored by Canon or not, but all the gear seems to be Canon. This is the EOS 5D SR, and that camera body alone cost $2,600. Okay, 2,599 pounds, sorry, which is over 3,000. Now in here you can see all the 3 like using their camera gear. So there's James May's little point and shoot over here, Jeremy with his 600mm and 5D, and then there's a monopod over here that we can see as well. That monopod is not very expensive, but here's Hammond with his 70-200. It's not very easy to see, but that's the 70-200. And then if you zoom in, this is one of Manfrotto's carbon fiber tripods over here, and I'm not exactly sure which it is, but you can see all of his accessories lying around over here, all of them using their gear over there. Next shot over here. Now this is the trickiest bit that kind of got me to research for a while which lens this is. Now we know that this is the 1DX that is using over here, but what lens is this? This is where he's picturing this dead bird over here. But if you look really closely, you can kind of make out that this is 24mm over there. Then I was looking, and if you look over here, which on Canon's website, which are the 24mm lenses, then you can see that the 24mm lens is this over here, and that's the only one of 2s. There's the 1.4, which is over here, which that one obviously isn't because there's no red ring and it's much smaller, but this is the 24mm lens, which is the most similar. But if you look at the lens now in here, then you realize that it's not exactly the same lens, because it's got that little display in the front of the lens and the focus ring on the back of the lens, whereas this one is the very opposite, which is not that. So I did some research and I found this lens on eBay. As you can see, this is exactly the lens that Hammond is using, and I've got a bigger picture over here as well somewhere. I can't find it now, but this is the lens that Hammond is using over there, which is the older version of this 24mm and it's going for £67 over here, which is used, but I found it for a bit for about £319 refurbished. I couldn't find a new version of this. At that point I thought, do you know what, I think that's all the gear that Hammond is using, whereas on one of the end ones I see that Hammond is mounting a huge lens on his camera, and I thought that maybe you know, he borrowed his lens from Jeremy, but actually I looked a bit closer and realized that this over here is not the lens that Jeremy was using. It's a little bit different, and comparing the size and what it looks like in the structure, I figured out that actually this is the Canon 400mm f2.8 IS Mark II lens, which is another ridiculously expensive lens. I don't know if Hammond had any more of the gear that he didn't use, but this is all the shots that we can see what camera gear they were using. But how much does the camera gear cost then? Now Hammond has the 1DX Mark II, which is £4,999. Then he has the 200mm f2.8 Mark II, which is £699. The 50mm 1.2, which is £1,239. 100mm f2.8 macro, which is £849. We have the 400mm f2.8 Mark II, which is £9,499. And then we have the 70-200 f2.8 Mark III, which is £2,149. And we have the 24mm f2.8, the old version, and I found this to go refurbished for £319. Altogether, the body and the lenses are £19,753. That is over $25,000. In fact, $25,760.97. Now, with all the accessories that he also has, roughly calculated that it's at least £1,200 worth of accessories, but it's probably even more, but I put 1,200. It takes the total camera gear cost of £20,953. 20 grand worth of stuff, which is $27,325.96. Now that is absolutely ridiculous. Now Jeremy has the 5DSR, which is £2,599, and the 600mm f4 Mark II, which is £9,809, which is the most expensive lens in there. And the monopod that he's using is £200, well, £199.99. So altogether, Jeremy's gear is £12,608 and 9 pence. That is $16,442.90. And our Mr. James May is only $429 US or 366 Great Britain pounds. This is probably not exact conversion, but this is how much I found the camera on US market and on Great Britain market. So this is all the camera gear that the Grand Tour was using on those 2 Columbus special episodes. Let me know if you like this type of video, and if you'd like me to do any more of these, comment below. I will meet you in the comment section below. Also, if I missed any of the other things that you see on the pictures, feel free to comment below. I'd like to know what you can add to this interesting topic. If you like this video, leave a like in the section below. If you think that this video was not so nice and you want to dislike it and hit that dislike button, feel free to hit that dislike button twice. If you haven't subscribed already, consider subscribing, because more content like this is coming out every single week. Thanks guys for watching. I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.